Hi everyone, welcome to All About Buffy Season 5. And the first thing I'm going to say is that this will be the one with some tapping in it here and there. So just some occasional, gentle tapping. Nothing too intense, nothing too jarring. But if you absolutely despise tapping, this might not be the one for you. Sorry. Now, I think I did say that the season 5 video or videos would not be the ones with the tapping, but I changed my mind. Okay, so let's get into all of the other disclaimers, okay? So obviously daytime filming. My cat is actually inside right now. I guess she felt like she had a good enough dose of outside for today. And she came back inside when I woke up. So she had been outside from sun up for like 6 hours. I guess she had enough now. Normally I would not take the chance of trying to film anyway, but it is still light outside. So if she does wake up and start complaining, I can still let her outside and immediately continue filming. So that's kind of the difference. And I really wanted to film today because the clock is changing tomorrow, which means that it'll be dark basically when I get out of bed in the weekends. So I don't know when exactly I will have another opportunity to film the next one of these. So I really wanted to film today. Okay, so we're talking about Buffy season 5, right? Clothes. So I am wearing my Girl Power hoodie. Girl Power hoodie. It's from the Spark Company, but all of their socials say the Spark.com company. Anyway, I think the link to Buffy is quite obvious. Girl Power. But I also liked it for this video because I feel like it is a bit of a double reference to Claire Kramer. Claire Kramer, who plays Glory in this season. And let's just say she puts the grr in the girl. And let me know if you get that reference. double reference, not just Buffy. So that's my link. This is one of my warmest hoodies. It's like fleece inside. Really warm, soft fleece fabric. And it's so cozy. Unfortunately, it's a cropped hoodie. So it doesn't have pockets. So it's more of a fashion hoodie than a really comfy, handy one to lounge about in around the house. But I'm warm. That's all that matters. Okay. First, my two general disclaimers. First is just a spoiler alert. All the spoilers all the time. And the second is just a reminder that I'm talking about my own views, my own opinions. Even if I state them as fact, they are not fact. So you are free to disagree, and I hope that I don't step on anyone's toes. So as usual, I'm going to be talking about the plot first, then the characters, and then the episodes. Now, season 5 is a bit of a different case for me. So I have only seen season 5 twice, which is a big difference with all of the other seasons. And the reason for this is, so I watched this season for the first time when it was on TV, so when it aired on TV. I think this will have been like early 2000s, maybe 2002, 2003. Does it say on the DVD? It says 2000 and it says 2005. And so it's not going to be 2000, is it? Because Buffy started in 1997. And this is season 5. So I think 2003-ish. So I saw it when it aired on TV. And you know that at the time I was broke. I couldn't just go out and buy DVD boxes. So I didn't have it to watch again at that time. And then I lost my mom. And so since Buffy's mom dies in this season, I couldn't watch it again. I just couldn't. It was too hard. I think at one point I tried starting the season again because I was doing a full rewatch with my best friend and roommate in college. And so we were doing a full rewatch, and I tried including season 5, and I realized that Joyce's health issues start so very on in the season. Like, her first headaches are immediately there, and I couldn't. I was like, nope, can't, sorry. We're gonna skip it. Because at first I thought I could watch this season and I would just skip, the body and forever, the main episodes dealing with the death. But no, the second there were like those early signs that something was wrong with her, I was like, nope, I'm out, I can't. So I have not seen season 5 again until this year. So almost 20 years after it was first aired. So I've seen it twice. So this means that I won't be getting the plot out or anything really in the way that I could with the other seasons. And, I thought about doing some prep work and just like taking some notes, looking a couple things up. But I didn't want to do that because that's not really the vibe of these videos. All of the other ones are unprepared and just made up on the spot. And I kind of wanted the same for this season, even though that means that I might miss some really big parts or get some things wrong. So what I am going to do is I have my phone here. You all know I love phone tapping. It's my favorite kind of tapping. So I do have my phone here, and if I get really mixed up or really stuck, I can just quickly look it up. But we'll see. And I'm gonna get my episode list out. I will need it more than ever. So season 5 is the only season that I don't know all of the episode titles by heart just like that. So, when I practice a couple times, I know all 144. But then if I leave it for a couple months and I try to list them all again, season 5 are always the ones that I miss some of, like 5 episodes or something. From season 5, I always miss. So, I'm gonna leave all of this stuff in, like the car, this plane. I've heard some people, just because we don't have a lot of time to waste here, so. Okay, season 5, so we're on the second page now. We did all of the first ones. And then on the last page we have season 5, season 6, and season 7. So, season 5 up here. And we'll see. So, season 5. I will say overall that I recently realized that this is a very good season. It's a very strong season, and I think it is one of the stronger ones. Which I never really realized because I never really watched it again. So it's a very strong season, and I feel like I'll maybe there's a lot of people that don't realize that either because of the introduction of Dawn. So at the end of the first episode, suddenly there's this new character. You know, the show jumped the shark and introduced a new character, Dawn. And Dawn is Buffy's younger sister. But Buffy, the show, has options that most regular shows don't. So when they come up with a new character, they don't just pull them out of thin air. Well, they did, but I mean, it's not like, oh, here's my long lost twin cousin, child that was given up for adoption, whatever. So with Buffy, they can really make it make sense and make it part of the plot. And that's what they did. So very early on, Dawn shows up. And Dawn is one of the most hated characters in the show. And I think a lot of people take that out on season 5. And I personally very much dislike Dawn as, as a character. But little siblings are annoying. I know. I am one. So, yeah, whatever. Okay, let's get into the plot as far as I can string it together based on these 2 viewings. So, like I said, Dawn shows up, and obviously she is integral to the plot. So in the beginning, when she shows up, it's like she's always been there. So everyone just knows her. She is Buffy's little sister, and she has been always. So we're kind of just like, what? And so, Dawn. And then at some point, we meet the big bad of this season, Glory, played by Claire Kramer. Glory. And Glory, as big bads go, she is one to be reckoned with. She's like the only one, in my opinion, the only one that genuinely feels like a threat. And so season 7 as well, where the big bad is the first evil, and we've got Caleb, we've got the Turakan. That, to me, also genuinely feels like a threat. But Glory is the only other big bad, in my opinion, that genuinely she just nails it. She is just a really good villain. So Glory shows up, and she is looking for something. She is looking for a key. and we find out later, it takes a while before we find out more about her, that she is basically a god. She's a god from like another dimension, I believe. And even in this other dimension, amongst other gods, she was the worst. She was the worst. And basically, she had to be controlled. She had to be maintained and, yeah, taken care of. And the way this was done was that they locked her into a human form, and they locked her into a different dimension and threw away the key. And so she has just been going around looking for this key because she wants to get back to being a god, to having all of her powers, and to ruling over all of the little maggots across the world, across the worlds. So she is a god, and we realize early on, like, she is not your average villain, your average demon. She's extremely strong. She's extremely unhinged. And just like unstable. She's very clearly unstable. And they kind of had to do that because, you know, when you create a villain that is so powerful, you have to build in weaknesses so that the heroes have a fighting chance. And so the weaknesses that they build into Glory are, first of all, so she's very unstable, and it's like her energy drains. So being in that like mortal suit is very difficult to maintain, and she gets these episodes like attacks, and then she needs to suck the life energy out of someone to feel better. So she like needs to all of that. So that's a weakness, you know, so she can't maintain her strength and badassery for an extended period of time. So at one point she just sort of crumbles, and it gives whoever is fighting with her a chance to get away. The second weakness that they built in is Ben. So basically, fuzzy on the details, but she is sharing a body with this nurse man called Ben. And yeah, they share a body. They are aware of each other, but they are completely gone when one of them is like in the other. So that's an important weakness that she is Ben, and like they morph into each other at random times. It doesn't really seem controlled. It doesn't really seem planned. Like there's no real reason to it, to when it happens. But so that's just some info about Glory. She is a god. She is hilarious. She is really cool. She's really intimidating. She is scary. But she has some weaknesses. And she is looking for the key. And so she's looking for the key. She doesn't know what the key is. She doesn't know what it looks like. It could be anything. It could be anyone. And she is looking for it with the help of her like minions. Do they have like a collective name? I know one is called Jinx, but what's the species called of her minions? I don't know. But they're funny. They're amusing. Okay. So while Buffy is dealing with Glory, Joyce is struggling with her health. So she is having headaches. She appears to be like losing it. And at first they think it's something supernatural. And there's like this creepy little demon. What is it called? Queller, I think. Queller. And they think it has something to do with that. But they kill that, and Joyce's problems stay. And she ends up having a brain tumor. And so she has to be operated on, which they do, and it goes well, and she appears to be better, and she goes back home. And all the while, dealing with Glory. Now, Buffy is worried about her mom and about Glory, and she's realizing that she's kind of maybe sort of a little bit out of her depth. And she starts, realizing that she, might not be able to do this. She might not be strong enough. And so she starts getting a lot more serious about her training. She starts training with Giles again in many ways, not just physical strength training, but like mental, spiritual guidance as well. And she is studying a lot. She is studying about Slayers. She's studying about the history of Slayers. And this kind of brings her to Spike. Because Spike has had some run-ins with the Slayers in the past, and he's killed 2 of them. So she looks up Spike, and basically Spike at this point realizes that he is in love with Buffy, or at least obsessed with Buffy, and he wants to do something about it, but it's not like he can just openly be like, I love you, let's hang out. So he has to be Spike still. So he's basically helping them out in return for money, and that's how he ends up helping Buffy with her question about Slayers and the history of Slayers. She pays him. And so Spike kind of wants to use the whole thing as an opportunity for them to get closer. He really drags it out. However, she does learn a lot from this. She learns a lot about Spike. We learn a lot about Spike, about William the Bloody, about Cecily. So she does learn a lot, but I think at the very end he confesses that he loves her, or that they should be together or something, and Buffy's super disgusted, and she just knocks him down, throws the money at him, and says, I could never love you, Spike, you're beneath me, or something like that. And it's very sad. But so Spike holds on to that torch, and it stays like a focal point at the coming episodes. Kinda which one am I gonna talk first? Because these kinda just do this chronologically. So there's this episode, Crush, where Spike tries to take Buffy on a date. I think it all goes very wrong. Drusilla comes back, and Drusilla comes back. She wants Spike back. She wants to bring him back to his evil former self. It looks like he's going along with it. Turns out he's not. He is manipulating the situation because he wants Buffy to see how far he would go for her, which is even staking Drusilla, his sire, the love of his life. Obviously, Buffy is still not interested. And honestly very worried at that point and doesn't want anything to do with Spike anymore. So the next episode, they deal with some... The next episode is I Was Made to Love You, and Warren shows up. Warren is... I cannot deal with Warren. He makes me so violently angry. You know why. But this is also why this episode, I Was Made to Love You, like that is enough. But later on, like Warren is the sort of man we're all talking about when we're talking about toxic masculinity and about all the things that make stupid men respond. Well, but not all men. Well, fucking duh, we know not all men, but a lot of them, and Warren is like fucking leader of the pack. Warren makes me physically ill. Worst character ever. Hate him. Hate the guy. So, I Was Made to Love You. Warren makes this robot girl to be his, like, sex slave, basically, and it all backfires. But at the end of the episode, Spike approaches him. We all know why. It's so problematic. And then it all goes very dark. So I believe it's right at the end of I Was Made to Love You that Buffy finds that Buffy walks in and she calls for her mom and she sees her on the couch and she's like, Mommy? Mommy? And it just, it's like a sledgehammer to the face. But then the body is the episode that really deals with that. I'm going to talk about the body and forever later when I talk about episodes. But I don't want to get lost in that right now and just get the plot out. So, by intervention, Glory has figured out that the key is a person. The key is a person. And so she figures that it's so annoying how she finds out. So Ben finds out that the key is Dawn in the hospital because Dawn tells him herself. And then Ben tells one of Glory's minions that it's a person. He doesn't mean to, but the way that he talks makes it obvious that it's a person, not a thing, not an object. And so when he morphs back into Glory, obviously this minion immediately shares the new information with her. So she knows it's a person. And obviously, if they created a person, they would have put them close to Buffy. So she reasons that the key is going to be someone close to Buffy who is fairly new in her life. So they start looking for the key. Now at this point in intervention, Spike and the Buffy bot take center stage. So Spike had a robot made, a Buffy robot, which is just incredibly problematic. Like, and they are just walking around, having fun, slaying together, having all the sex, just all of it. And so, Glory's minions see all of that, and they're like, Spike is the key. Buffy is protecting him at all costs. She's always with him. You know, Spike is the key. So they bring him to Glory. I just suddenly had to think about all her nicknames. Like, no. So they tie him up, but Glory very early on realizes that Spike isn't the key because he's a vampire. And the key is a pure, like, energy form. It's pure, it's clean, it's beauty, it's grace, and it can't be a vampire. But they figure, well, we can still torture him until he tells us who the key is. Thing is, Spike knows who the key is. He knows that it's Dawn. So Buffy is hella worried that Spike is going to tell Glory, especially because they didn't leave off in the best of places. And so when they manage to free Spike, Buffy then has to go and find out what he told Glory. And this leads to an incredibly touching scene, and I found it so beautiful at the time. Now, many years later, having more open eyes regarding all of the incredibly problematic things Spike has already done at that point, it's all a little less. It's all a little less sunshine and roses, but it is still a beautiful scene where Buffy dresses up as the Buffy bot. And she goes to Spike's crypt, and he is there. He is completely beat up. He is bloody and just not doing well. And so Buffy goes to him, Buffy bot style, super cute. And is like, basically she ends with saying, oh, okay, well, let's just go and tell Glory who the key is, and then she won't hurt you anymore, and everything is good now. And Spike is like, no, she can never know. You can never tell her. And some other lines. I saw this twice. I can't quote it. And Buffy softens and she kisses him. And as they kiss, Spike realizes it's the real Buffy. It's not the Buffy bot. It's the real Buffy. And just that moment, like that moment, his face, I could start crying right now. It's beautiful, and it's beautiful. And he doesn't say anything, and she starts walking away. And then I think before she leaves, he says, "The robot?" And she says, like, I think she says it's gone. It was, what did she say? It was disgusting, or it was something, but she leaves. But great scenes. So, meanwhile, Glory still doesn't have her key. So she's thinking, she's looking, and she settles on Tara this time. So she thinks it's Tara. And it's not Tara, but she sucks at the brain matter, brain function out of Tara. Breaks her hand. And it's all very sad. And just very sad. And I think it might be why Glory freaks me out so much. Because she hurt Tara. And that's also part of why I want to kill Warren so intensely. But that's for another day. So at this point, things are getting bad. They basically go on the run. There's some they go on the run. And then we have the season finale. One of the best ones in the show, The Gift. Meanwhile, so Glory has Dawn, and turns out that Dawn is needed to open the gate to another dimension where Glory can then, become the god she was. And so she needs to bleed Dawn dry, and this all needs to happen at a certain time in a certain place. And this place is way up high in the sky, so they're building this tower to do all of this. And meanwhile, the Scoobies are planning or strategizing how they are going to stop it at the last minute. And so, they have a good plan. They have Olaf's hammer. Is it Olaf's hammer? And, a lot of magical firepower. They have a good plan. But, they get betrayed at the last time, at the last moment, by someone that they didn't realize was not on their side. Really creepy character. And it annoys me because I feel like Spike really should have been able to stop him. I feel like Spike is strong enough, motivated enough to throw this little man off of the tower before he was able to cut Dawn. So that bugs me about the season finale, that moment really bugs me. I feel like it's off, it doesn't work. But, obviously they needed him to fail. So he does fail, he gets thrown off of the tower, and Dawn gets cut and she starts bleeding, and the gate to this new dimension starts opening. And, sort of like when Angel unleashed Akathla, once it starts to open, there's badness, and it's gonna take a sacrifice to close it. And this is when Buffy realizes something. And so earlier in the season, when she was studying with Giles, when she was training, she went on a sort of spirit quest to learn more about slayers and their history. And she learned that death is her gift. And it took her some time to understand what that meant. He didn't like that message at first, that death is her gift. But right there on top of the tower, with the other dimension opening, she understood what that meant. And so, in an earlier episode, I think it was probably Blood Ties, we already realized that Dawn and Buffy share the same blood. Dawn was made from Buffy, of Buffy. She is Buffy. They are the same. And so Buffy had already realized what was going to be necessary to stop this, which is her life, her death. Death is her gift. And so she whispers a couple of things in Dawn's ear. She whispers how the hardest thing in this world is to live in it. So be brave, Donnie. Be brave. Live. And she jumps into the portal. She jumps into the portal. And she closes it. Dawn is left on top of the tower, crying. And we catch up with everyone on the ground. Buffy closed the portal, but she didn't disappear into it. She closed it and kept falling to the ground. She hit the ground and she's dead. And so we see everyone see her and break, especially Spike. It's heartbreaking. God, this guy just breaks my goddamn heart all the fucking time. Because you also have to realize, like, he loves Buffy or is obsessed with Buffy, but Buffy is his world, no matter how you want to categorize it. Buffy is his everything, and he failed. Like, he had the one definitive moment to prevent this. Like, it's his. He's the one that dropped the ball. So, yeah, he's broken. He's broken. So anyway, the portal is stopped. Dawn is saved. We still have the question of Glory, but she is taken care of by Giles. So they had learned earlier that Glory can be killed when she's in her human form. A lot of funny scenes, by the way, where Spike is the only one that remembers seeing Ben turn into Glory, and everyone just, oh, that's probably like the best lightheartedness in this whole season, are those scenes. Yeah, those scenes and the ones where the Scoobies think that the Buffy bot is actually Buffy. Like, those two things are the only moments of relief in this season. But so they realize that they can kill Glory in her human form. Spike realizes that this is Ben, and Giles takes care of that. So Glory is defeated, Dawn is saved, Buffy is dead. So that was the plot. I feel like that probably went a bit better than I expected. It's just really long. It's just a really strong story, so even if you haven't seen it many times, it does stick with you. It's, as always, it's well put together, it's well written. You know, there's always some like plot holes that we are very happy to ignore or to forgive, at least. And I feel like, there are some this season, but it still works. And I think Claire Kramer is such a good villain. Glory, Glorificus. I just love her as a villain. Like, in the spirit of girl power, she kills it. Like, she shows up. The Master, Angel, the Mayor, Adam, easily as villains. Yeah, she's cool. She really freaked me out at the time. Not like as in I was scared, but just as in I was genuinely worried. I felt like this is not gonna go well. And then when Spike gets absolutely just destroyed, and when Tara loses her mind, loses herself, and then Buffy fucking dies. It was like, well, yeah, shit, this is real. And I don't know, maybe I think that's one of the strongest things about season 5. Like, so I have this YouTube channel that I love. It's called the Friendly Space Ninja, and it's run by this guy, and he makes these series reviews. So not like this one, but a whole series in one video. And this man is like living in my head. It's very strange, but But we have all the same opinions on all the things. It's like creepy, to be honest. And so one of the things that he talks about a lot are the stakes of a show. And that sometimes very early on you realize that there are no stakes in this show. There's nothing at stake. You know that they are never ever going to hurt or kill off a main character ever. And so after a couple seasons, it just loses its tension. It just loses its tension, because with every new threat, you're just sure like, it's gonna be fine. They'll deal with it. It's gonna be fine. Nothing's gonna happen. Everyone's gonna survive this. And so it's the downfall of a lot of series that do rely on tension and danger. And so series that show you like we are high stakes are just on a different level. And like obviously you have the other end of the spectrum with Game of Thrones, where like no one is safe ever. And that also at some point doesn't fully work anymore. But so Buffy was heading towards like the no stakes area after 5 seasons of everyone just being fine. I find myself needing to know the plural of apocalypse. Just apocalypse after apocalypse, and it's always just fine. Everyone's fine. So to have this season where Joyce dies and Tara, like badness, we didn't know if that was going to get fixed. And then Buffy sacrificed herself. Like it was just like a wake-up call, like, oh, okay. And so I think that's a strong point of season 5. Like, you may say they jumped the shark, but I think they raised the stakes, and it marks a shift in the series. I feel like series 1, 2, seasons 1, 2, 3 were one thing. Season 4 was kind of like, I don't know what we're doing anymore. Let's just have fun. Is how I see season 4. And then in season 5, from season 5 onward, they were like, this is not a teen show anymore. Okay? Let's make these people grow up. Let's raise the stakes. And let's change the mode. And so, yeah, so there's a shift there. Pre-season 4, post-season 4 is, in my opinion, like a very different era of Buffy. So, okay. I have a lot to say about some episodes of season 5, so that's going to be for the next part. Okay. Let's go reward the cat for being chill. Okay. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you soon.